Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have.
My name is
Thanks.
Jordan. And the first thing I heard that morning wasn't my alarm clock, it was the sound of glass shattering. Are you out of your mind? That was me screaming, because Karen, the president of our HOA, had just broken into my house through my back door, screaming about unauthorized lawn decor. She didn't knock. She didn't call. She didn't even text. Just smashed my window like some neighborhood vigilante gone rogue. I stood in my kitchen in my pajamas, still holding my coffee mug, completely stunned as she marched in like she owned the place. You think you can just plant plastic sunflowers in your yard without approval? She shrieked, stepping over broken glass like this was her courtroom. I dropped the mug. It shattered, but I didn't care, because at that moment I snapped. First of all, this is my house, I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. Second of all, how dare you break in here, like that? Are you insane? Karen didn't flinch. That smug little smirk stayed plastered on her face. I warned you last week. You're in violation of the HOA's aesthetic standards. And now, I'm officially issuing a citation. Expect a fine. You broke my window. You broke the rules, she snapped. We were toe-to-toe now, and I could feel the heat rising in my chest. I wasn't just angry, I was done. Done being polite. Done being the nice neighbor. Done letting this woman terrorize everyone on this street. Like she's some self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac. You want to issue citations? I growled. Cool, because I've got one for you. I picked up my phone and started recording. Karen's eyes widened. Get that phone out of my face, she barked, lunging toward me, but I stepped back. This time, I wasn't backing down. Touch me, I warned, and I swear, I'll call the cops. Or should I say call them again? Because this time, I'm pressing charges. Karen froze. I could see something flicker in her eyes, panic. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't just here to rage about lawn decorations. She was here because she was scared. But not of me. She was scared of what I might already know, and the thing is, she was right to be, because Karen, yeah, she's got secrets, big ones, the kind of secrets you bury with expensive lawyers and tight-lipped neighbors, but secrets, they don't stay buried forever, especially not when you push the wrong person too far. Let me rewind for a second. Karen didn't always hate me. When I first moved here, she actually welcomed me, gave me cookies, a fake smile, and a printout of the HOA rules with the word mandatory highlighted in yellow. I thought it was overkill. But I figured she's just passionate, right? Wrong. Karen didn't run the HOA. She ruled it. She fined old Mr. Jenkins for having too many bird feeders. She made the family down the street repaint their door 3 times until it was the exact shade of eggshell white she demanded. And me. I was her new favorite target. Because I worked nights, I didn't show up to meetings. I kept to myself. In Karen's eyes, that made me dangerous, and people like her, they need to feel in control. But this morning she went too far, and now it's time I show the neighborhood who she really is. So listen up, if you've ever been bullied by someone hiding behind rules, if you've ever been silenced by someone with just enough power to abuse it, if you've ever felt like you're screaming into a void while everyone else just nods and obeys, this story, it's for you. Because what started as a broken window turned into something so much bigger, and by the end of it, everyone on this block was gonna know the real Karen, the one who wasn't fit to lead anything, the one with the kind of secrets you don't want on camera. And trust me, the camera was just getting started. Stick around. Because what happens next will change everything, Karen thought. I was just another quiet neighbor. She had no idea she picked the wrong house to break into, and by the time I was done with her, this whole neighborhood was going to see her for exactly who she was. Because silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes, it's just the sound right before the storm. And this storm had my name on it. Asterisk. When the cops finally showed up, Karen had the audacity to cry. She sat on my porch steps like she was the victim, clutching her little clipboard like it was a damn Bible, telling the officers I overreacted, claiming I had assaulted her emotionally. She didn't even mention the broken window until they asked about the glass. That's when she spun her story. She invited me inside. She sniffled, wiping fake tears with a tissue that somehow matched her sweater. I was just trying to de-escalate. She's hostile. Look at how she's filming me. Hostile. You break into my home, and now I'm the threat. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just looked the officer dead in the eyes and said calmly, "Check the footage. I've got it all." And that's when Karen's mask slipped. For just a second, her jaw tightened. Her eyes narrowed, because deep down, she knew what was coming. And I was done playing nice. They told her to leave. Advised me to file charges if I wanted, but I told them no, not yet, because pressing charges, that would end things too quickly, and Karen didn't deserve a clean ending. She deserved a spotlight. After they left, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the broken mug still on the floor. My hand trembled not from fear, but from clarity. You know that moment when you finally see someone for who they really are? When all the little moments you brushed off suddenly connect like puzzle pieces. That was me, right then. I remembered the time Karen fined the single dad next door for leaving toys on the lawn, after his daughter left a tricycle on their porch, or when she posted pictures of the Johnsons' Christmas lights in the HOA Facebook group, calling them tacky and a community embarrassment, or when she had my mailbox repainted without asking, then billed me for it. It wasn't about rules, it was about control. And she got away with it because everyone was afraid of her. But I wasn't. Because here's the thing about people like Karen. They get comfortable in their power. They start thinking no one will ever question them, but Karen made one mistake. She picked me. That night, I started digging. I didn't even know what I was looking for at first. Just rage-fueled curiosity. But the more I looked, the deeper I fell into her web. Property records, business filings, HOA financials, and then I saw it. Her address. It wasn't the same as the one listed on our HOA documents. It wasn't even in this county. And suddenly, a memory came rushing back. Mrs. Chan, 3 houses down, once told me Karen wasn't even a homeowner. She just moved in with her sister after her divorce. She whispered, "Doesn't actually own anything." I brushed it off back then. Thought it was gossip, but now it made sense. Karen wasn't even legally part of this HOA. She had no authority, which meant every citation, every fine, every rule she screamed about was a lie. My chest pounded as I stared at the screen. I felt like I was holding a lit match in a room full of gas, because if what I was seeing was true, and I knew it was, Karen could go down hard, but I wasn't satisfied yet. I needed more, so I went old school. I grabbed my phone and texted a name I hadn't seen in years, Ashley. She used to work on the HOA board, quit after 2 months, said she couldn't take the toxic vibes. I asked her one question: "Did Karen ever show you proof she owned property here?" Ashley responded in seconds, "Nope, that's why I quit. She bullied everyone into silence. But I've got receipts if you need them." Receipts. Oh Karen, you really should have stayed out of my house. The next morning, I didn't even water my lawn. I just stood on the porch and waited. And like clockwork, there she came, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, fake grin locked and loaded. She didn't even acknowledge the night before. Didn't say a word about the window, the cops, nothing. Just strutted down the street like she still ran the place. But now, I was the one smiling, because I knew something she didn't. Her kingdom was built on sand, and by the end of this week, I was going to make sure every neighbor knew the truth. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been gaslit so long that you started to believe they were right? That maybe you were too loud, too sensitive, too dramatic? That was me. Karen had made me doubt myself for months, but not anymore, because what I had now was proof. Proof she wasn't who she said she was. Proof she never had power to begin with. Proof she lied to every person on this block. And I wasn't just going to use it. I was going to expose her with it. You want to scream about rules, Karen? Let's talk about fraud. Let's talk about unauthorized authority. Let's talk about misappropriated funds. Let's talk about how you broke into someone's home and then lied to the police like it was just another Tuesday. And let's talk about your biggest mistake yet. Me. Because I'm not just some neighbor anymore. I'm the one person in this neighborhood you can't bully. And I'm not stopping until every mask you've ever worn gets ripped off right in front of the people you fooled the most. When the community room filled up that evening, the energy in the air was different. Normally, HOA meetings were dead silent, awkward, and dry. People came because they had to, not because they wanted to. But tonight, people came early. They brought snacks, folded arms, raised eyebrows, because word had gotten out something was going down. And I made sure of it. Every door on my street had a copy of Karen's fake address taped to it by noon. Anonymously, of course. But I didn't stop there. Screenshots of her phony homeowner status, a snippet of our property records, a side-by-side of her citation history and her lack of authority. I printed it all out, nice and neat, in color, stapled, and I handed it to every neighbor with a smile. Tonight wasn't a meeting, it was court. Karen strutted in late like she always did, heels too high, attitude even higher. Clipboard clutched to her chest like it was a shield, but she paused when she noticed the stack of stapled papers in everyone's lap. Her lips twitched, just slightly, and I swear for a second, she knew. She stood at the front like always. But this time, no one clapped when she banged the gavel. She gave her usual speech. Something about property values, pet leash policies, unacceptable lawn decor. But the room was stiff, cold. People looked at her like a stranger. They weren't listening, they were waiting. And I was about to give them a show. I have a motion, I said, rising from my chair slowly. Karen froze mid-sentence. You can't just actually, I smiled, holding up the HOA packet she once fined me for not reading. According to Section 3.2, any community member can request the floor. Isn't that right, Chairwoman? The crowd murmured. A few chuckled. Karen hesitated, then forced a smile. Go ahead. I walked up to the front, turned to face the room, and set down my laptop. I'd like to present new information, I said, about the person currently running this HOA. Karen laughed dryly. This is not the time or place for personal grievances. Oh, I agree. But this isn't personal. I hit play. On the screen, the footage rolled. Security cam, clear as Decorin, pushing my door open, stepping into my house, uninvited. Her voice, loud and cruel. I don't need your permission. And then the crash. The mug. My voice shaking as I said, get out. Gasps. Whispers. Someone muttered. She broke in. I turned to the crowd. This is your HOA chairwoman, but what if I told you she isn't even legally allowed to be on this board? I passed around printed proof. Property records. Her actual listed residence. She doesn't own a home here. Never did, which means every fine, every citation, every threat was based on a lie. Karen snapped. This is defamation. I smiled. You can't defame someone with facts. She lunged forward like she was going to snatch the papers out of my hand, but stopped herself. She looked around the room and saw it the shift. People who once nodded along with her lectures were now squinting at her, like she was something rotting in the fridge. Mrs. Chan raised her hand. Is it true? You don't live here. Karen scoffed. That's none of your business. Oh, Mr. Daniels said from the back, but our grass height is. The crowd laughed. It wasn't funny. Not really, but when someone like Karen loses control, it feels like freedom. And for the first time since she moved in, people were standing up to her. I nominate a vote, I said, voice steady. To remove Karen from the HOA board immediately, the grounds of fraud, trespassing, and impersonation of authority. Someone seconded it. Someone else thirded. The room exploded in chatter. Karen turned red. You can't do this. No, you can't do this, I said calmly. You've bullied this entire neighborhood into silence. But now that we know the truth, we don't have to listen anymore. Karen's hands trembled. She opened her mouth to fight back, but no one was listening. People were standing, voting, talking to each other, not to her. She was no longer the voice in the room. She was just noise. And in that moment, Karen was done. She stormed out, heels clicking fast, slamming the community center door so hard, the walls shook. No one followed her. No one comforted her. We all just stood there, in stunned, slow silence. And then Mrs. Chan clapped. And just like that, the room erupted. It wasn't joy, it was relief. Months of silence, of fines, of fear, gone in one night, and me. I didn't smile. Not yet, because what I uncovered next made everything up to this point look like child's play, because Karen wasn't just faking her power. She was hiding something much, much bigger. When the meeting ended, nobody rushed home. People lingered, talking in hushed tones like they'd just witnessed a car crash, too horrifying to forget, too unbelievable to fully process. Some neighbors came up to shake my hand. Some apologized for not speaking up sooner. A few even offered to back me for the new HOA board, but I wasn't focused on the applause, because something still didn't sit right with me. Karen didn't deny she faked her residency. She didn't argue about the footage. She didn't even fight the vote. She ran. That wasn't just embarrassment. That was fear, and I wanted to know why. I didn't sleep that night. I opened her name in a dozen browser tabs, ran background checks, scoured old forums, court dockets, even LinkedIn. Most of it was dead ends. But then, buried in a private real estate forum under a username tied to her old email, I found it, a thread titled, HOA Fraud in Tampa. Anyone know this woman? There were screenshots, disconnected phone numbers, but the face, same smirk, same clipboard, same Karen. She'd pulled this before. In a different state, different neighborhood, same tricks. But back then, it didn't end with a meeting, it ended with an ambulance. I tracked down the address from that forum, found the name of a man who used to live there, Marcus Brenner, retired Navy, widower, 72 years old. I didn't expect him to pick up when I called, but he did. His voice was slow, cracked by time and pain. But when I said her name, there was a pause. Then, she nearly killed me. I sat frozen. Marcus told me everything. She'd moved into that neighborhood, using her cousin's address, got herself voted in as HOA president. Said she wanted to bring order. But what she brought was war. She fined everyone. Harassed people for leaving porch lights on past 10. Cursed out children for sidewalk chalk. And Marcus. He was her biggest target. She hated that I had a flag, he told me. Called it visual pollution. Said it made the community look unbalanced. He fought back, told her to shove her fines. And one night, she came into his backyard. She cut the pole down with a hacksaw while I was inside, sprained her wrist, sued me, said I intimidated her. And when the case didn't go her way, she broke into my garage. Took everything not nailed down. Tools, metals, even my late wife's bike. My throat closed up. Did you press charges? I tried. She disappeared before court. Vanished. She hadn't just been kicked out of one community. She'd fled it. No wonder she panicked when I exposed her. This wasn't just about power. This was patterned behavior. Repeated, refined. She'd perfected the art of becoming the queen of a kingdom she didn't even own. But something still didn't make sense. Why the obsession with control, with power she didn't earn? And that's when I saw the final thread, an obituary link. Her name, same spelling, same middle initial, listed as a surviving relative. But the woman who died was her sister. She wasn't Karen Harris. Her real name was Danielle Harris. Karen was her older sister, a licensed property manager, loved by her Florida neighborhood. She died 4 years ago, a sudden stroke, barely 45. But Danielle, she'd taken her sister's identity. She didn't just fake HOA leadership, she'd stolen it. Suddenly, everything snapped into place. The confidence, the scripts, the forged documents. She was using Karen's credentials, her certifications, her licenses. She wasn't just a fake leader, she was living as a ghost. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. It wasn't just revenge anymore. This wasn't just about my broken mug, or the fines, or even the footage. This was bigger. She was broken in ways none of us could have imagined. A woman pretending to be her dead sister to feel important, to feel in control. Because somewhere deep down, she must have believed it was the only way she'd matter. But knowing that didn't make her less dangerous. It made her more, because someone willing to become a ghost has nothing left to lose. And when I knocked on her door the next day, I learned how right I was. She opened the door like she'd been crying for hours. No makeup, no smirk, just hollow eyes. "What do you want?" she whispered. I held up the printouts. The truth, all of it. Her shoulders dropped. And for the first time since the day she screamed at me for parking slightly outside the lines. She didn't fight, she invited me in. The house was spotless, too spotless. The kind of clean that comes from needing to distract yourself. Everything was labeled, sorted, color-coded, even the dog bowls were lined up like soldiers. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she said. "I just didn't know who I was without her. I was always the failure," she said quietly, sitting at the edge of her pristine sofa. Karen was the smart one. The one who graduated, got her license, bought her first home at 28. People listened to her. I stayed silent. She used to let me come with her to open houses. I'd watch her lead. People respected her. She'd smile and say, "Fake it till you make it, Danny." And after she died, her voice cracked. "I didn't want her legacy to die too." "So you became her?" I asked. She nodded. I thought, maybe if I acted like her long enough, I'd be good like her too. There was a moment of silence. Then I said, "You broke into my house." Tears welled in her. I didn't sleep the night she gave me that envelope. I just sat there, staring at the fake IDs. Two different people, same face, same pain. One was loved, the other was forgotten. And somewhere in between, Danielle Harris got lost, pretending to be someone who mattered because the world never gave her a chance to matter on her own. It would have been easy to hate her, to slam the door, call the cops, celebrate her fall. But somehow, when I looked at her now, I didn't see the villain I once thought she was. I saw a woman so desperate to be seen. She became a lie. But lies always crack. And hers was seconds from shattering. The final HOA meeting was packed. Not just with homeowners, the local news showed up. Word had spread fast after the footage went viral and the background reports leaked. Imposter HOA president exposed. The headline read, "The same people who once feared Karen were now watching her every step, whispering, waiting to see if the monster would show her face." But the woman who walked through those doors wasn't Karen, she was Danielle. No clipboard, no fake name, no mask. Just her. And for once, the room didn't boo, they just watched. She stood at the front of the room, hands shaking, but eyes steady. "I'm not the person you thought I was," she said. "And I never was." Then she told everything. How she'd used her late sister's identity to pose as a licensed property manager, how she manipulated documents to gain control of multiple HOAs, how she'd been living on the edge for years, running from who she was, hiding behind someone who no longer existed. "It started as a tribute," she said, "but it became something else, something darker, something I couldn't stop." She looked at me then, and said two words I never thought I'd hear. "I'm sorry." The room was silent. Not because we forgave her, but because we understood. Some people cried, some stared in disbelief. One older neighbor, Mr. Gillespie, who she'd fined for having wind chimes, just whispered, "That poor girl." Others still burned with anger. She'd bullied us, broken into homes, lied for power. But when the police arrived, she didn't run. She stood, held out her hands, and walked toward them with her head high. And I realized, she wasn't looking for sympathy. She was finally looking for peace. In the weeks that followed, the neighborhood began to change. Not just because Karen was gone, but because we all realized how long we'd stayed silent, afraid of rocking the boat, afraid of standing up. We let someone bully us with a title we never questioned. We let fear shape our community. But now people talked. Now we looked out for one another. Now we asked questions. And as for me, I was elected HOA president. Not because I wanted power, but because I promised one thing: no more secrets. A month later, I got a letter from jail. Danielle, she said she was getting help, real help this time. Therapy, identity recovery. She told me she wasn't sure who she really was yet, but for the first time, she wanted to find out. She thanked me for not turning her into just another mugshot, for letting her speak, for seeing her, and she wrote something I'll never forget. "Maybe you were the first person who didn't treat me like a joke." Maybe that's why I finally stopped pretending. We all wear masks sometimes. Some are small fake smiles, polite lies, things we do to survive. But some masks, they consume us. They become armor. They become identity. And the longer we wear them, the harder it becomes to remember who we were without them. Danielle wasn't evil. She was lost, but even the lost can be found if someone's willing to look past the act and see the person behind it. So if you're watching this, and you feel invisible, unheard, like the world only sees your mistakes, hear me loud and clear. You don't have to fake it anymore. You don't have to become someone else to matter. Because the truth, your truth, is enough. And the moment you stop running from it, everything starts to change. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. If you've ever been judged by your past, if you've ever been silenced, overlooked, or made to feel small, drop A in the comments. But if you believe people can change, even the ones who mess up, even the ones who wear masks, drop A. Because sometimes, even a Karen just needs to be seen, and sometimes, justice isn't about punishment, it's about truth.